She lay in a hospital bed, broken and defeated, hearing the silence of shattered dreams, yet somewhere deep inside, a spark whispered she could still fly. What happened next would shatter expectations, rewrite possibility, and show that from broken bones we sometimes break records. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The steady beep of monitors echoes through the sterile room. She lies motionless, arms pinned, leg wrapped in plaster, the scent of antiseptic heavy in the air. A single tear rolls down her cheek. That moment, suspended between life and what she thought was the end, becomes the beginning of everything. It is here, in pain and silence, that our heroine first hears the story she must tell. Before we dive deeper, dear listener, if you believe in the healing power of stories, subscribe now so we can bring more tales that mend broken hearts and souls. Let's begin. She was born into a small town tucked between jagged hills and whispering forests. The kind of place where the wind carries voices across narrow streets and generations know each other's stories by name. The year was 1991. Her name was Amora. Amora's childhood was quieter than most. She played barefoot in red clay, skimming stones on the river's surface and feeling the wind in her hair. Her father taught her to watch the sky. There's freedom in looking up, he'd say. Her mother planted a garden where butterflies danced above her flowers, and from her, Amora learned patience, growth, quiet resilience. Though the world outside their home whispered ambition and noise, Amora's heart was tuned to softness, to curiosity. She read books by candlelight under mosquito nets, sketched birds in her notebook, and dreamed of wings she could not yet see. Evening, fate arrived in the form of a reckless driver, hydroplaning on slick asphalt. The car swerved off the road and crashed into the side barrier. Amora and a friend, returning from a music class, were thrown violently. She remembers nothing but a flash of glass, the snap of metal, and the sensation of being lifted from ground. Then darkness. She woke, days later, to strangers' voices, sterile walls, and her body screaming in agony. Her leg, broken in multiple places. Her arm, fractured. Her ribs cracked like brittle twigs. Pain was her first visitor, relentless, merciless. The doctors told her she would walk again, but not for months. They warned of permanent damage. In her dreams, she saw stages lit with gold light, heard waves of applause, and felt her body move in rhythm. Yet in waking hours, the limits of flesh weighed heavily, and her spirit wavered. In the weeks that followed, Amora lay in bed, days blurring into nights. She watched dust motes drift in pale sunlight, the world going on outside her window. Sometimes she whispered to herself, "Who will I be now?" Her bones healed slowly, but her confidence fractured faster. Friends visited with soft eyes and pitying smiles. Some left early, unsure what to say. Others said, "Maybe you should rest." Or, "Maybe this was your body's way of telling you to slow down." She felt small, helpless, shattered. But in one quiet night, between sleepless tears, she heard something, a voice inside whispering, "You are not done. You still have more to give." The echo of her father's words, the memory of birds in flight. Something flickered. She began to sketch again, gently. At first, trembling lines. Then bolder strokes. Birds, wings, motion. Paint on paper. Her heart stirring. She thought, maybe healing is not just physical, maybe it is alchemy, turning pain into new possibility. Physical therapy became both battlefield and sanctuary. Every morning, she forced limp limbs to obey commands. Flex, lift, extend. The therapists pushed her, urging minimal gains. Some sessions ended in tears, frustration. The world seemed to demand slow progress, but Amora's spirit chafed. Still, she learned to walk again, each step a negotiation with fear. At night, she'd close her eyes and feel phantom pain, limbs twitching, memory burning. But the more she moved, the more she believed she could outrun it. She found solace in music. The piano keys, delicate and firm under her fingers. She practiced scales even when her arm throbbed. The melodies invited hope. Her voice, cracked at first, began to reclaim strength. Notes cascaded in quiet rooms. Even when her body lagged behind, her soul sang. Word of her struggle circled friends and mentors. Some said she should train again as a dancer. Others whispered it was too dangerous. She silenced them with silence. One evening, her mother sat beside her bed and said, "You remember the stories I used to whisper to you as a child?" Amora nodded, though she'd kept few memories in recent months. Her mother smiled. "Those stories gave you wings. It's time you write your own." That night, Amora leaned over old notebooks, rekindling journals she kept hidden. She read back through every dream she had scribbled, dreams of flight, dreams of music, dreams of escape. In those pages, the pattern emerged. Her life was not about staying safe, it was about reaching further than she ever believed she could. She resolved, she would train, she would heal, she would compete. She enrolled in a regional dance academy. But the bones in her leg still echoed. The doctors warned of re-injury. The world said she was foolish. She said, "I will try." She arrived at the old dance hall, dust motes dancing in sunbeams, a cracked wooden floor, faded curtains. A mirror lined one wall. She stood before it and flexed her injured leg, breathing deeply. The room held both her fear and her promise. Her first rehearsal was agony. She stumbled. Her muscles screamed. She almost fell. Tears blurred her vision. But when the music began, something deeper took over. She remembered how to move from memory and emotion. She extended, she bent, she pushed. Her body protested, but spirit guided. Day by day, the repetition brought small miracles. Her flexibility returned. She pushed through swelling and pain. Her classmates watched, some supportive, some skeptical. She ignored judgment. She was no longer dancing for them, she was dancing for herself. Slowly, her reputation surfaced. Whispers, "She's back from injury. She moves differently now." Projection of shadows in her footsteps. But the more they watched, the more they felt her conviction. Then came the competition, the regional showcase. Under stage lights, hundreds watched. Her leg trembled in the wings. Her heart pounded like a drum. She recalled every moment of her fall, every moment of fear. She stepped forward. Music swelled. She danced her soul onto that stage. Every movement was confession and redemption. She leapt higher than she believed possible. She balanced steadier than she thought her body could. The audience held its breath. Then applause crashed like waves. She did not win first that night, but she placed. She earned a standing ovation. And more than any trophy, she found evidence. Her body could be more than its past. But sometimes victory breeds its own monsters. Imposter syndrome, fear of relapse, whispers that luck had helped her. She doubted herself again in quiet evenings. Her leg ached after performances. She feared injury. She wondered, is this worth the risk? She revisited her earlier journals and saw the through line. She never chased perfection, only transformation. She remembered the voice that said, "You still have more to give." She leaned into that voice. She trained harder, fiercely but wisely. She listened to her body, cared for it, and let it grow. She began to teach younger dancers, offering mentorship to those broken, those tender. She began to tell her story openly, to heal through vulnerability. And slowly, her performances became legendary. She broke local records, youngest dancer to place, fastest comeback after injury, performances with greater emotional depth. She toured. She moved crowds. From broken bones she was breaking records. It was the night of the national championship. The auditorium's lights dimmed. The hush was thick with expectation. Her final dance. She stood in silence behind the curtain, leg throbbing, heart blazing. She closed her eyes and remembered the hospital, the fracture, the doubt. She remembered the voice whispering, "You are not done." She opened her eyes. The curtain rose. Her movement began slow, a single step, a tilt, a breath. Then the music pushed her outward. She spun, extended, bent, soared. She channeled all her pain, all her scars, all her triumph into every gesture. At the apex, she leapt and time froze. For a moment, the room stilled. Then the audience gasped. She landed, steady, perfect. The applause erupted like thunder. Tears streamed down faces. She collapsed to one knee, shaking, joy and disbelief flooding her. She had won. She had broken records. But more, she had found herself. In the quiet after the storm, she stood backstage, breathing, heart racing. She ran a hand over her leg, once broken. She smiled softly. The scars remained, reminders not of limitation, but of survival. She walked out into the empty auditorium, stage lights fading. She looked at the seats, at the shadows, and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you to pain, to doubt, to every failure that demanded she grow." Her story did not end there. She continues to dance, to heal, to teach. And every time someone watches her perform, a whisper passes. If she could rise from broken bones, maybe I too can rewrite my own story. If this tale moved you, leave a comment, tell me what part resonated. The fall, the rising pain, the triumph. Share your thoughts, your own scars, your own hopes. Let's build a vault of tales together, a place where brokenness becomes possibility. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Vault of Tales. Together, we bring more stories that heal, transform, and remind us what it means to be human. Thank you for listening. May your own brokenness someday break records.